أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Ayah number 3. حرمت عليكم الميتة. Prohibited to you are dead animals. Meaning, أكلها حرمت. Eating these animals, consuming these animals is prohibited to you. And who has made prohibited? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is prohibited to you? Al-maytatu, the dead. In the first ayah we learned that أُحِلَّتْ لَكُمْ بَهِيمَةُ الْأَنْعَامِ إِلَّا مَا يُتْلَى عَلَيْكُمْ. That all four-legged animals of livestock, they are lawful for you, except for those animals which you are going to be informed about. So these are the animals that Allah informs about that are unlawful for us to consume, to eat. First of all, al-maytah. What is al-maytah? It's from the root letters mim, waw, ta. And maytah is the animal which dies a natural death, or by accident. بِغَيْرِ فِعْلِ فَاعِلٍ. So there is no one who actually did something in order to kill it. It died itself. It died itself. So first of all, maytah refers to that kind of animal. Secondly, maytah refers to that animal which has not been slaughtered in the correct manner. That animal which has not been slaughtered in the correct way. So if there is a chicken and it hasn't been slaughtered properly, how? That Bismillah was not pronounced. Or when slaughtering it, the blood was not drained properly, then that chicken is what? Maytah. Similarly, a goat, a cow, what is it? Maytah. Because the proper way of slaughtering the animal is that Bismillah has to be pronounced and the animal should be slaughtered in such a way that the blood drains out of the body. The blood drains out of the body. So, حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةِ. The maytah animal, it is completely haram upon you. You're not allowed to eat it. You're not allowed to consume it. And the Prophet ﷺ said that أُحِلَّتْ لَنَا مَيْتَتَانِ وَدَمَانِ. That we were allowed 2 dead animals and 2 kinds of blood. فَأَمَّا الْمَيْتَتَانِ. As for the 2 dead animals, they are fish and locust. So fish, you don't catch the fish and you slaughter it. You don't do that. Because the moment you take it out of the water, very soon it's going to die. So it's dead. And you eat it. And which is why if you see a fish that is dead, whether it was killed by a natural cause as well, you are allowed to eat it. And secondly, a locust, because you can't literally slaughter a locust. And locust, you don't have to drain the blood out of it. Whereas the other animals, you have to drain the blood out of them. So, حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةُ وَالدَّمُ. And the blood. Meaning the blood is also haram upon you to consume. So for example, if a person is slaughtering the animal, he cannot collect the blood and then drink it or use it for cooking. No. Blood is unlawful. And which blood in particular? Masfuhan. That which is flowing. That which is caused to flow. So for example, at the time of slaughtering the animal, the blood that flows out of the animal, a person cannot consume that. But if there is any blood that remains inside, let's say by the bone or under the flesh, and if you're eating and all of a sudden you see blood, don't say, oh my God, this is haram. What I've eaten is haram. No. That is okay, as long as the blood was drained. If despite draining some blood still remains in the animal, then it's okay. Dam over here, which blood is this? Masfuh, that which is caused to flow. And the hadith that I had mentioned to you earlier, that 2 dead are halal for us and 2 blood are halal for us. As for the 2 dead animals, they are fish and locust, and as for the 2 blood, they are liver and spleen. Because these are 2 organs of the body which have a lot of blood in them. وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ. And also the flesh of swine. Meaning, the entire swine, the entire pig is unlawful for you to consume. Now over here, although the word lahm has been mentioned, and the word lahm is used for flesh, it includes the muscles, the skin, the tissue, the nerves. And basically, if you think of it, the entire animal is connected with what? The main part is the flesh. And the bone, it is connected to the flesh. So by saying the flesh, what it implies is the entire animal. And generally, when a person eats a part of the animal, what is he eating? Is he going to chew on the bones? No, that's not the focus. Yes, you can get stock out of it, but what's the primary reason? You want the meat. So, وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ, meaning the flesh of the swine. And this is the beauty of the Quran, that there's no need to say extra words, like the bones and this and that. لَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ, it's enough to say that. وَمَا أُهِلَّ, and that which was offered up. لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ, for other than Allah. Uhilla is from the root letters ha, lam, lam, and ihlal is raf'u sawt, to raise one's voice. And what it means is that at the time of slaughter, the person who is slaughtering, he pronounces the name of the one for whom he is slaughtering the animal. Meaning for whose sake he is slaughtering the animal, the one for whom he is dedicating the animal. So ihlal is to pronounce their name. So for example, a person says, Bismillah, Wallahu Akbar. What does that mean? That he is dedicating that animal for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So وَمَا أُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ, meaning that which is slaughtered in the name of anyone other than Allah. That which is slaughtered in the name of anyone other than Allah. What does it mean? That at the time of slaughtering, Allah's name must be pronounced. Because it's other than Allah. Other than Allah means any other person, any other being, or even no one. Any other being or even no one. Because sometimes people say that today when people slaughter animals, they don't take anyone's name. Before maybe, the Arabs, the mushrikeen, even early Christians, they would take the name of their saints or their gods, whoever that they wanted to dedicate the animal to. However, today people don't do that. So it should be okay for you to eat. No, it's not, because لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ means other than Allah. Other than Allah means someone else or no one. Allah's name has to be pronounced. So all of these things that Allah has mentioned over here, you are forbidden to eat them. As well as وَالْمُنْخَنِقَةُ, and the one who is strangled to death. Munkhaniqa is from the root letters kha, noon, qaf, khanq. And khanq is to choke, to strangle. And munkhaniqa is that which suffocates to death, that which is strangled and choked to death. So the animal that has been choked to death, you're not allowed to consume it, you're not allowed to eat it. Which animal? From the bahimatul an'am. So now these animals were mentioned, munkhaniqa, mawqudha, mutaghaddiya, natiha. These animals are from what? From the bahimatul an'am. So if there's a goat, a sheep, a cow, a camel that has been choked to death, you're not allowed to eat it. Now there are two possibilities of the animal being choked to death. That first of all, the animal has been strangled by a rope that it was tied to, that it's trying to put its head somewhere, the horns, they get stuck, let's say, and he's choked to death, or he's trying to pull so that it can release itself. But what happens? The animal chokes to death. Or sometimes it could be because of somebody else choking the animal to death. Somebody else strangling the animal. Somebody else strangling the animal, choking the animal to death, suffocating the animal to death. So for example, if some children are playing with a baby goat or something, they tie a rope around the neck and the goat dies. So in that case, that goat becomes haram. So munkhaniqa, the one strangled to death, by itself or by someone else. وَالْمَوْقُوذَةُ, mawqudha is one that is injured by a violent blow, and as a result of that violent blow, the animal dies. So mawqudha is that which is beaten to death. and it's from the root letters waw, qaf, dhal. Waqf is to hit fatally, and to blow very hard, to hit very hard. It's darbu shadid. It's a darb, a strike that is shadid, that is very strong, that is very severe, that is fatal, that kills the other. So mawquda is the animal that has been killed by a darb. Whether that darb is of a stone, or a bullet, or a stick, whatever. If the animal has been hit by something, and as a result of that blow, the animal dies, that animal is not allowed for you to eat, even if it's a cow. وَالْمُتَرَدِّيَةُ, and the one that dies by a fall. Mutaraddiya is from the root letters ra, dal, ya, from the word radi. And radi is to perish. Okay, what does it mean to perish? To be destroyed, destruction. And it also means to fall and be perished. It is to fall and then perish. So for example, it is said taradda fil bi'r, that he fell in the well. And when he fell in the well, that's it, he was gone, finished. So basically, it is one that falls from a height, and as a result of that fall, he dies. So mutaraddiyatu, the animal that dies because of a fall. So there are some animals like, for example, mountain goats. So imagine if there's a goat at the top of a mountain at the edge, and it falls, and as a result of that fall, it dies. You can't eat it. وَالنَّطِيحَةُ, and the one that is gored by horns. Natiha is from the root letters noon, ta, ha. Nataha sawr. Nataha sawr is when an ox gores another ox with its horns. So basically, hits the other with his horns. So if there is an animal that has been gored by horns of the other animal, and as a result of that he dies, then that animal is not allowed to eat. Many times what happens is that when animals are living in herds, sometimes there are fights between the animals. So if there is a fight between two animals, and as a result of that one dies because he was gored by the horns of the other, that animal is also dead. Wama, and that which, meaning and that animal, akala sab'u, that the predatory animal ate. Meaning the animal that has been eaten by a beast of prey. What does it mean by that? That if, let's say, a lion caught a deer. Now deer generally is halal for you. It falls under bahimatul an'am. It's halal for you. Now the lion sees your car coming, runs away, goes away. Now you see the deer. Can you eat the deer? Allah says, وَمَا أَكَلَ السَّبْعُ. If the lion was eating from it, meaning the animal is dead already, and he's eating from it, you're not allowed to eat it. The word sabr is from the root letter sin, ba, ain. Sab'a. What does sab'a mean? 7. And from this sab'a yasb'u is to kill, to devour. And sabr is used for beast of prey, predatory animals. So if there is an animal that has attacked, killed another animal, and he is eating from it, he has captured it, wounded it, killed it, and he is eating from it, you're not allowed to eat it. Illa, except ma dhakkaytum, that which you slaughtered. Ma dhakkaytum, that which you slaughtered. The meaning of dhakkaytum is not you purified or you cleansed. Because the word dhakkaytum is not zakkaytum. Zakka yuzakki is to cleanse, to purify. This is dhal. Alright? And dhakka is from the root letters dhal kafiya. And dhakka yuzakki is to slaughter an animal properly. And to make it fit for consumption. To make it suitable for consumption, for eating. And how will that be done? By slaughtering the animal properly. So, basically, This is done by legal slaughter. And what does it mean by legal slaughter? That the jugular vein is cut. And from that, blood is poured out to the maximum. Meaning how much ever blood you can flow out of the jugular vein, you do that. And when you do that, then the animal is fit for consumption. If, let's say, a person says Bismillah and he just shoots the arrow at the animal, and as a result of that the animal dies, that animal again is not okay. Because you have to slaughter it properly. You have to make it fit for consumption. And how will you do that? By legal slaughter. And what is legal slaughter? That you cut the jugular vein, because you have to flow the blood out of the body. You have to drain the blood out of the corpse. So, إِلَّا مَا ذَكَّيْتُمْ, except for that which you have slaughtered, meaning which you have legally slaughtered and have made fit for consumption. Now, this illa, this is an exception from all of the animals that have been mentioned thus far. Obviously, لحم الخنزير, that's understood. It's not an exception. But the other animals, like for instance, the munkhaniqa, the mawquda, let's say the animal falls, or the animal has been hit by another, or it's been choked. But you see that it's still alive. Or you see that the animal has been caught by a lion, and it's still alive, the deer is still alive, the goat is still alive. How do you know that it's still alive? It's moving. And another indication is that the blood that is coming out of the body is warm. Let's say there is a wound, and the blood that is coming out is warm. Or you see the deer. Let's say the lion has started eating the deer from the back. So what you do is that you quickly cut the jugular vein and the blood flows out. And the blood is warm. If you cut the jugular vein and no blood comes out, then you have not been able to legally slaughter it. Alright? So that animal is not fit for consumption. If the animal fell, it was hit by another, it was choked, but before it died, you managed to cut the jugular vein, and blood came out, and the blood was warm. What does that mean? That you have slaughtered it legally. Alright? So, إِلَّا مَا ذَكَّيْتُمْ, this is an exception from the animals that are munkhaniqa, mawquda, as well as مَا أَكَلَ السَّبْعُ. There is an exception from all of these animals. So, if you catch them, you legally slaughter them, okay. But if you've catch them, you legally slaughter them, but no blood flows out, not halal for you. وَمَا ذُبِحَ, and that which was slaughtered, that which was sacrificed, عَلَى النُّصُبِ, upon the stone altars. The word nusab is a plural of nusab, and it's from the root letters nun, sad, ba, and it is used for an idol that has been fixed for the purpose of worship. And it is also used for a stone altar. What is a stone altar? Basically, in shirk, what they do is that they have these tables that are primarily made of stone. And on that table, either they will offer the meat, or they will put the food that is dedicated to the idols, to the gods. So, وَمَا ذُبِحَ عَلَى النُّصُبِ, that animal which has been slaughtered for the sake of idols or at stone altars. What's the purpose of slaughtering the animal before an idol on the stone altar? You're dedicating the animal for the idol. So that animal also is not halal for you. That animal also is not halal for you. And we see that before Islam, there were some idols outside of the Kaaba and there were some inside as well. And there were specific stone altars where people would go and slaughter their animals, or they would offer the meat of the animals to the idols. Obviously, the idols wouldn't eat. So either they would eat themselves or they would distribute the meat amongst the needy. وَأَن تَسْتَقْسِمُوا بِالْأَزْلَامِ, meaning, and He has forbidden this to you as well. What? That you seek to divide through the arrows. Meaning you divide the meat of the animal. How? With arrows. The word tastaqsimu is from the root letters qaf, sin, meen. And what does taqsim mean? To divide, division. And another word from the same root is qisma. And what does that mean? Fate. So the word istiqsam has been understood in two ways. Istiqsam has been understood in two ways. First of all, that you seek distribution, division. You seek distribution or division. And secondly, that you try to know your fate. And what is that? Fortune telling. So, أَن تَسْتَقْسِمُوا بِالْأَزْلَامِ, through the arrows. Azlam is a plural of zalam or zulam. And it's used for a small arrow that is without any feathers or a head. It's without any feathers at the back or a head at the front. That is what this arrow is in particular. So, أَن تَسْتَقْسِمُوا بِالْأَزْلَامِ is understood in two ways. That first of all, that He has forbidden to you that you seek to distribute the meat of the slaughtered animal through arrows. And these arrows, they represent what? Gambling. Like today, people, they take some money and they don't have arrows, but what do they use? Dice or different things. And they play a game, and as a result, what happens? Some people, they get money, and some people, they're deprived of that money. Betting, basically. Gambling. So the Arabs, what would they do? They would slaughter animals, and they would take their meat, and they would gamble. Now, just imagine you slaughtered only one goat, or you brought the meat of only half a goat, and you go back home with a whole camel. How? Through gambling. Allah says, وَأَن تَسْتَقْسِمُوا بِالْأَزْلَامِ, this is forbidden to you. That you seek the distribution of the meat of these animals that you've slaughtered through gambling. Secondly, أَن تَسْتَقْسِمُوا بِالْأَزْلَامِ, that you try to find out about your qisma, about your fate. How? By arrows. By divining arrows. Basically, the Arabs, whenever they were confused about a matter, whenever they were unsure about a matter, as to what they should do, they had this bag in which they would have 3 arrows. One arrow said, if'al, do it. Another arrow said, la taf'al, don't do it. And the third arrow said, nothing. So basically, if you get that arrow, what does it mean? You get another chance. So you're unsure about what you should do, so you just draw out one arrow. If it says if'al, do it. If it says la taf'al, you don't do it. If it says nothing, then you draw out another arrow. So Allah says over here that He has forbidden to you, meaning وَحُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ أَن تَسْتَقْسِمُوا بِالْأَزْلَامِ, He has forbidden upon you that you should try to seek your fate, determine your fate. How? By the use of these arrows. This is forbidden to you. And yes, those people, they used arrows. Today, if a person does anything that is similar to it, that is also forbidden. ذَلِكُمْ فِسْقٌ, that is sin. What is sin? Engaging or eating any of the above. Meaning these animals that have been forbidden to you, if you eat any of them, that is what? Sin. Can you imagine? Eating something haram is what? It's a sin. ذَلِكُمْ فِسْقٌ. And secondly, ذَلِكُمْ فِسْقٌ also refers to that أَن تَسْتَقْسِمُوا بِالْأَزْلَامِ, that slaughtered your animal and you take it and you have a game and you gamble and you lose whatever you brought, or you gain what somebody else brought. That is not fair. It's sinful. الْيَوْمَ يَئِسَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِن دِينِكُمْ. Today, those people who have disbelieved, they have despaired from your religion. Ya'isa is from the root letters ya, hamza, sin, yes. And what does yes mean? To become hopeless, to despair. So they have despaired of your religion. What does it mean by that? They have given up hope that you will ever leave your religion. What does it mean? They have given up hope that you will ever leave your religion, that you will ever return from it now. They have lost all hope that you will ever revert to unbelief. Why? Why have they given up hope? Because you have such clear guidelines as to what is halal and what is haram. Now you have become a separate nation. You have your own identity. You have your own dietary rules. So you are different people now. And now they've given up hope that you'll ever return to your religion. Because up until now, the mushrikeen of Makkah, they thought this is only a phase. Soon they will give up and they will come back. Just like today. If a person starts to follow the deen, what do people say? This is only a phase. Very soon she will leave her hijab. Very soon he will shave his beard. But when a person becomes careful about his eating and drinking, about what is going in his mouth, then he is definitely very serious about his religion. So when you have become serious about your food even, الْيَوْمَ يَئِسَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ دِينِكُمْ, they have given up hope that you'll ever return to their faith. فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ, so don't fear them. Because it's possible they will say you are an extremist. You are so careful about your food, they're going to mock at you, they're going to make fun of you. Are you serious you're going to wear this now for the rest of your life? لَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ, don't fear them. And out of their fear, don't do that which is unlawful. And instead, what should you do? وَخْشَوْنِي, and you should fear me. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He has given you these commands. And remember this type of fear, khashya. What type of fear is this? That is due to someone's greatness. And it is a result of knowledge. So don't be in awe of people. They're not great. Who is actually great? Allah. Allahu Akbar. So, fear Him. الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ, today I have perfected your religion for you. Akmaltu is from the root letters kaf, mim, lam. From the word kamal. And what does kamal mean? To perfect something. To complete something that has already been started. So the teachings of the deen began from day one. And today, the teachings of the deen have been completed. Your religion has been completed for you. What the process that began in Makkah 23 years ago, now it has been perfected. So Kamal is basically used for the completion of that which has already begun. That which is in the process. And it is to fulfill the objective, to fulfill the purpose of that which was started. So, الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ, meaning whatever you were supposed to be taught, whatever teachings you were supposed to be given, you have been given all of those teachings, all of those rulings, all of those obligations. وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي, and I have completed my blessing upon you. Which blessing? The blessing of Islam, the blessing of deen. And notice the word atmamtu has been used. Atmamtu is from ta, mim, mim, from the word itmam. And what does itmam mean? To complete and perfect something. Kamal also means to complete and perfect. So what does itmam mean then? Itmam is basically used for completing a term, for completing a number or a term of something. Like we learned earlier that ثُمَّ أَتِمُّ الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ, complete the term of the fasting until nighttime. So, أَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي, meaning I have completed my blessing upon you so that nothing that is necessary and important for you has been left out. Akmaltu is whatever you were supposed to be taught, you have been taught. Atmamtu is that anything that is necessary for you to know, anything that is important for you to know, you have been given that. Nothing at all has been left out. Atmamtu alaykum ni'mati. وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا, and I have approved for you Islam as your religion. Meaning the religion that I have chosen for you, that I have approved for you, is Islam. فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ, then whoever was forced. اضْطُرَّ is from the root letters ضاد, را, را. And what does darar mean? Harm. And اضْطُرَّ is when someone is compelled by force. Meaning he doesn't want to do it, but he is forced to do it. So whoever is forced to do what? To eat of that which is haram. And he is forced because of what? Fi makhmasatin. In extreme hunger, starvation. The word makhmasa is from the root letters kha, mim, sad. Kha, mim, sad. And khamasa is to be of empty stomach. What does it mean? To be of empty stomach, when someone's stomach is empty. And khamis is one whose stomach is all the way in. Yani it's like a person is so hungry and his stomach is completely empty. He's so malnutrition that his stomach is inside. Generally, people's belly, when they've eaten or when they're eating normally, it's either flat or it sticks out a little bit. But khamis is someone whose belly is inside. He doesn't have a belly, basically. Why? Because of starvation, because of extreme hunger. So if someone is that hungry and he's about to die, or it's going to affect his health, then غَيْرَ مُتَجَانِفٍ لِإِثْمٍ, and he's not inclining to sin, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ, then indeed Allah is forgiving and merciful. The word mutajanif is from the root letters jim, nun, fa, and janafa is to incline to sin. To willfully, deliberately, intentionally incline to that which is wrong, that which is sinful. And then it's not just to incline towards it, but it is to do it and remain steadfast upon it. That a person makes it his habit. So, out of extreme hunger, starvation, makhmasa is starvation. So because of starvation, he has to eat that which is haram. And when he is eating, he is not inclining purposely to sin. He's not doing it out of disobedience. And he's not going to make it a habit that he will not eat deliberately. And when he's about to die, he says, okay, fine, give me haram food. No. غَيْرَ مُتَجَانِفٍ لِإِثْمٍ. Then Allah is forgiving and merciful to him for whatever that he has eaten of the haram. Let's listen to the recitation.
حُرِّمَتْ